Hello everybody, my name is Naomi Choi. Today we're going to be talking about consumer protection. So last time we learned about consumer rights. And consumer rights include 8 basic things, which included are some basics, which is the right to withdraw, the right to be informed, the right to be educated, the right to be safe, to um, the right to be in a safe environment, the right to choose, the right for privacy, etc. All of those things. And we all know for a single fact here is that consumer rights is deeply protected, especially in economies and in fields that are deeply regulated with the law. And in the United States alone, there are over 12 laws against consumer protection. And so, what is consumer protection? Consumer protection is what that is publicized for the right and for the use to ensure that the consumers are having the proper rights. So what do we mean by this? Consumer protection is when, for example, you as a consumer or as anybody notice that the company is violating the consumer rights or that a customer is suffering and is not receiving the basic common rights. You or the consumer could stand up and could get the company in a lawsuit because they didn't follow those rights regarding to consumerism rights. And so that is how this works. So consumerism protection is very important because it ensures consumer rights, and every company should be able to avoid getting into any form of liabilities like this at all costs because it's going to affect them a lot. So what does consumer protection actually protect? First, they prevent unfair trade practices. What do we mean by this is that we as people that sell things to customers and consumers, we do not and we never would want our consumer to be trading unfair products. What do we mean by that is that we want our consumers to get the best product, the products that's like description, the products that actually work, that's actually safe to use, and that's actually usable, something like that. And so we would want to prevent them from being in unfair trade when they have to trade their money for something that they cannot use or for something that's not safe to use. Secondly is that consumer protection allows to ensure product safety because, for instance, you buy something as uh, a, a container for food, right? But then that plastic is not something very safe, or that plastic is not microwavable. But then the company claims that it's safe plastic, it's reusable plastic, it's microwavable. And so that is going to affect the consumer right and the consumer health. Because again, the consumers, when they use it, they directly get affected from it, right? And lastly is that consumer protection protect users' privacy. What do we mean by that is in the basic consumers, right? There's a point where consumers need to have their privacy, right? And so it protects user privacy by allowing that, for example, if they sell something as like a service for a hotel, right? Then the business themselves should never do such things as attaching like hidden cameras inside the hotel or allowing like mirrors that are two-sided so that somebody else could look at the person, or they should never attach dangerous things, and that is what privacy is. So it helps protect user privacy. Or for example, like when you go on internet or when you go on Facebook something and you type in your password, it is the business responsibility to ensure that those passwords, those information, those texts, for example in Facebook and Messenger, things like that, those texts, those images does not get leaked out to the public. And so if some of these 3 things or more gets violated, you or somebody else could help you to directly contact with the business and fix this, because in almost every country, especially in developed countries, these laws regarding consumer protection is getting bigger and bigger by day, because as developing countries we really need the consumers in the first place, right? So that is why if you are a consumer, remember consumers have all of those basic rights, and if your basic rights ever get violated, contact consumer protection. Thank you for listening and goodbye.